Oh, let's get it. Oh, baby, you watching? Hey, baby. Nice, it looks clean. No, like my the overlay that I remade. Gotta fuck with the fonts a little more. Yeah, it looks good on the regular game screen. Like, I made it line up. You see how like you have the health bar? So I made the next I made two more bars. One for like my Instagram and YouTube, and one for my Twitch. Like my names. So like it looks like it's part of the health bar. Actually, nope. I gotta move it more to the left. A little off. All right. To work on. What are you watching? Then over here. Plan together. Some teamwork shit. So you're not gonna get beat up, bro. You just got 5 kills last game. That's better than duos, bro. You just gotta stay close. Like, think about it this way: if like we land alone by ourselves, but a duo lands with either one of us, we're dead. No matter how nice we are, like we're dead. God damn. A little something, something to start the game. What? From the sniper? Go have it if you want. Fuck. Took both of us out. Fuck that guy. Did you put that party assist on? You could have gotten a kill on lazy from me. I killed somebody. What? You put on. So I did get one for you. Okay. How many you need? Okay, we need two. Okay. That's easy, bro. I'm just making sure I have my KD up. I'm trying to get my KD up right now. Viewers. Viewers. Yo, so I bought this $15 app from my phone. It's supposed to be this OBS camera app, bro. That shit don't work. I gotta call my credit card company and ask for my money back. Yeah. So I could like I could use it as like my webcam when I stream, but that shit ain't work. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a lot of money for an app. For the medals this time. Hmm? Can't believe that guy killed us. Yeah, I was shooting at him and your body was blocking the shots because like there's no friendly fire because we were in front of each other. We're like parallel. That means he landed he basically landed somewhere and fell and died to fall damage. And he's also playing by himself. He doesn't have a teammate. This side or that side? Pick a side. Pick a side. Tell me now. Okay, okay, let's do it. Yeah, I see them. They're northeast on the other side. It's okay. We got blue gun for you if you like. There's people directly in front of, directly northeast on the other side. We can get our 3 kills right now. Your challenge right now, because like there's a team that landed. Got a mini for you, bro. Oh, I got a crazy fire chest right here. Oh, bro, I got a gun for you. Let's locate them before we get down there. Oh, I see one. I see one. 40 health down. Oh, why you went by yourself? Come in, brother. Come in here. There's a shield for you. There's a shield for you. There's a shield for you here. Get back in the house. Get back in the house. Take the shield. Okay, you got one shot. One shot. You gotta take him out. It's all up to you. He's gonna edit. He's whack. You got him. He's over here. He's over here. He's coming up. He's coming over. He's up here. He's peeking. Build. Build over him. You could take him, bro. Just need one shot. You beat him. Look, there you go, nigga. What you mean? How the fuck you did that? You beat him. That's how you did that. It was. This guy is a clown. It's an accident, bro. What the fuck are you doing? The fuck are you doing? You can't change your angle until the whole thing completes. These are things that, yeah. These are things that cause games, bro. I know. It's okay. It's okay. Nothing wrong. I still love you. Hey, hey. He's like, hey. There's a medkit here for you. Did they have a shotgun here for us? Oh, shit, booty. Oh, there's some stuff over here. Oh, there's a mini here, but you already have. You want to carry? I'm gonna give you health. Oh no, you already have health. Let's roll, Bippy. Oh, there's more minis. You should carry them if you can. There's one back there, and there's one up here. Yo, good shit, bro. That was good. You carried me. Who, me? Nah, it's okay, bro. That's good. These situations make you better. That's good. Glad it happened. As long as we don't die, I'm happy. The pressure is good, bro. Get comfortable. Yeah, you always have to know what you have out. Sometimes you're like, yo, why do I have my bill shit out, right? Hit the edit button. He's like, there's nothing to edit here. What am I editing? No, bro, I completely understand how you feel. You know what's funny? I think that was the team that I saw in the lobby that I was shooting at. The team we just killed. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I got bandage launcher, so it doesn't matter if you get hit. Would you get shield in the middle of nowhere? Somebody just left this house somewhere? Oh, you have trees? I mean, plants? No, you know what I mean, mats. It sounds like I'm looking for. Okay. Yo, bro, you heard about what's going on in China with the Muslims? Bro, so the Muslim people are being forced to like eat pork, pray to. Bro, they're also harvesting their organs, like for like organ donating. Yeah, they're harvesting like Muslim people organs for their government. Bro, it's not about Islam, bro. It's just like that's fucking wrong, dude. In so many levels. No, that not as an organ donor. Like they're being forcibly, their organs are being taken away from them. Like that's super fucked up. Well, if they can kill you, they can take your organs, I guess. But I'm saying that's pretty fucked up. Their women are raped. No, yeah, the Muslim women are raped by the Chinese soldiers. Like it's not. Yeah, they're doing some hard body shit. And like we can't. There's nobody's gonna do anything because our our economic ties to China are important, bro. We have a lot of companies that have invested there. That's very close to us. That's why. China and Bangladesh are very close to each other, and like other Muslim nations, Indonesia, they're very close. Yeah, we should dip, bro. You got materials? That's what I was gonna really ask you. Okay. Oh, I already have. So that's why I carry that. I feel like me and you need it the most, because me and you always getting chip shotted and shit. Oh, there's a big fight that went down over there. Yeah, I see them fighting. West 285. Damn, I wish I had a fishing rod. Yeah, we got tippy tea. No, it's all good. Oh, I see somebody. I see somebody. You with me? Good, take your time. Yeah, there's a good shield. Don't worry, I got the bandage launcher. Look at that. Don't feel so bad. Have your long range gun out, not your pump. Yeah, I don't know what you have, but I can't see. Letting you know. Oh, nice. Okay. Forgot you're a killer, bro. I forget sometimes. Yeah, we should be good. Don't worry. We just can't fight right now. We have to take turns using the launcher. Gotta wait for this to recharge. Best luck. We should be able to win. Look at the. Oh, damn, it was two of them. 42 health. Yeah, they heard us and saw our box. Yeah. And like when that happens, we have to have like a game plan that we always do. Like somebody builds up, somebody holds the base down. No, that's just time. Us playing together, we get used to that. Like what I usually do when that happens is I box and I wait for somebody to try to break my thing and I edit out and I shoot. Everybody has like a different like way to do it. Yeah, that's called the RPG spray. So they shoot the rocket launcher and then they spray the window. So like the RPG hits us directly. So what you do is you hit wall and stare button, like like you spam that when it's coming on the build mode. So if you spam wall and floor, not wall and floor, wall and stare, that shit won't happen. Especially if it's in front of you, whatever direction it's coming from, you put wall and floor, and you wrap her out. Did we finish our challenge though? The one that you needed? Jump. Craggy cliffs. In house. Let me play around. Look menacing. Come on, let's break these shields together. Come on. Come with me, come with me. On me. Oh, you already have shield. But still. Let's break them together so you get your full shield. Let's break them, come on. Where that team comes, come on. Right here. Right here. Here. Come this way. Come this way. Oh, they're fighting right here, right here. Doug, let's get some shots and get them. There. No, get out. I had it. He's coming. Oh, he got me. He's gonna push hard right now. He's gonna push really hard. They're gonna start shooting the window. He's coming. Oh, we got him. We gotta get him. Fuck. Damn. Whatever. Bro, me too. And he had good angles on us. It's okay. You know, you know one thing we did do wrong though as a team. If I'm shooting from the same box, you gotta shoot from like a different angle, so he can't get one of us at either shots. Because he was either gonna shoot me or you, because we're in the same spot. Oh, he deserves that because he's a bitch. Yeah, he deserves that. We should have been like them. We should have killed these fuckers first. It's okay. I got hungry, bro. I wanted more. I just want to kill them. Okay. Oh, okay. Did we start already, or did we exit the game? Start a game already. We do it next game. We'll go back. But you can still do a challenge. It's just that I can't help you with it. So what challenge you got? SMG spray? You just have to go to high action places for SMG spray. No, you said last game. I'm looking. We're going right here. Corporate. That's a place with all the wood. We probably have like one team contesting us there. Some people like this spot. Yep. Yeah, they're coming. It's 1, 2, 3. Oh, two teams here. Whoa, Doug. I don't know if we should land here. No, Doug, pull back. Go over there. Go over there. Turn around. Turn around. You go. I think you could do it. Yep, yep, yep. Nice, nice, nice. Are they shooting at you? I hope not. Okay, good, good. Take this one because this is closer to you. You need the green AR? Oh, oh shit. Attack is better. Get more shots. You take these, hit these spots. Fishing holes. Okay, we gotta look for one. Probably one over there. I got minis, bro. You wanna carry them? I got minis. You wanna carry? Well, I can carry those slurp fishes. Or you wanna carry them? Carry them if you like. You can only take carry 2 though. Oh no, you can carry 3. You want them? I'll take the minis then. That's instant health of any kind. Let's go loot Slurpee. Let's go loot this place. I think anybody landed here, surprisingly. Máximo, máximo, máximo. Do it. Got 105 of him. I need you to go back to that building. That's how we do it, baby. Oh. Take it, take it, take it. Well done, bro. Well done. Good teamwork. There's a blue sniper for you. Why didn't you take that? Okay. They got everything here. I don't think anybody else is here. I got slurfish. You didn't take the fishes? Like, it does everything. It does both. But you don't have to take them, bro. There's shield everywhere. You shouldn't use those shields. No, I'm saying they shield here. Like all these are shields and health. They're both. Like this area, yeah. There's all this blue stuff. That's why people land here a lot because like you get to like get all this blue shit without like using your consumables. So you could carry the consumables and you know. I know you got it, bro. I only gotta tell you once. Let's loot together though, since like it's kind of late in the game. He got bodied by that 105 that I hit him with. Yeah, that's why he stopped. He went inside. He's like, damn. He got a homie that just hit me with the snipe. I don't think I want to play anymore. People are definitely gonna push here. Oh, somebody landed here. Interesting. For the one hit, but you won't have like it takes longer for it to reload. So you gotta switch guns as soon as you shoot one shot, because otherwise you're gonna get the drag that's gonna get you killed. Let's go get the supply drop now. Behind me, right? Damn, there's mad supply drops around us because no one's here on this side of the map. Hmm, that's the mega gun, bro. One of my favorite guns. Yeah, I really like this place. I'm staying out of the circle for a reason. Everybody's gonna come in the circle. It's like a strategy to go in the circle first. You got the kill on that guy, right? Okay. Good. Good. Like, fuck this guy. I don't have too many AR bullets, so I think we're gonna have to be really smart about the fights we take. Yeah, not now. Go in the circle. Oh, you resplitting them? Fuck. Coming. Yeah, you're gonna get us hurt, bro. The storm is right there. Go. Thank you. You're the man. Wow, that's perfect. Oh no, we're good. We're at Slurpee. We don't even have to worry about it like that. Yeah. Yeah, we're good. Okay, now we gotta play smart. Okay, we got 15 people on the map. Oh, there's a fight right there, right in front of us, right in front of us. You see? Metal build? Fuck. Doesn't know. Oh, he doesn't know that we're shooting at him. Oh, idiot. Crouch. Oh, damn. Yeah, I just missed him. Yeah. I saw myself. Are you chasing him? Damn, he got me. He's like one shot. Yeah, bro. Let's go. What a chase down. You gotta get me now. You gotta go. Oh, somebody just rest this boy. No, you're gonna die. You're gonna die. Bro, but that was good. You killed him. You came after him. You killed him. That was good. Bro, that was fire, bro. That was valid. What's your sensitivity like, bro? Like your building sensitivity? I put my shit up. OD. You gonna box fight me? But it's good though. It's gonna frustrate you, and you're gonna like find new ways to fight and not get frustrated. Hmm. Or how do you feel about your movement? Try not to jump too much, okay? Jumping is bad. A lot of people jump. I don't think it's a good mechanic. Yeah, use crouching more. This is better. You being able to do this, like going back and forth between this and this, is better than like you jumping. You being able to do this is like the ultimate juke. Ah, it's a super juke, bro. Because people usually expect you to jump, not straight being left and right. You can make people miss snipes, mad stuff. So you gotta get comfortable moving left and right, especially in a fight. Think about it. Look at me for a second, Doug. You see, like I can only shoot on my right side, right? My crosshairs on my right side, so you have to think about where I'm looking, so you can dodge me. So I'm shooting this way, like on my right side. So you gotta go to your right. If I'm shooting from my right side, you always have to move to your right a little bit. Feel me? Hmm. Go here. Sweaty sans. Indubitably. Yo, you heard about this thing? I think I put on my Instagram, but like, you know how the guy that killed Nipsey? His family's getting bodied, bro. Yeah. 4 people died already. Okay, so a lot of people. This is how we're gonna go. Let's go to that all the way down there. Or over there, the park. Yeah, we can't aim here. They're too low. We won't be successful. Yep. Yeah, take that side. Take that thing I marked. That park is yours. No one's there. And this is available too. I need you, bro. Take your time a little bit. There's a couple of teams here. Oh my god. Where did he even shoot me from, bro? Don't forget about me. He's gonna try to kill you. Get me. He's gonna push you. He's here. He's here. He's here. Fuck that. Fuck that. Fuck that. He's here. He's here. Fuck that. He's here. He's in here. He's coming in. Coming in the door. Nice. Nice. Give me up. Give me up now. Now you get me up. Nice. Nice, Doug, bro. You just, bro. How do you get so much better that quickly? I'm not even gassing it. I'm gonna need his loot though. Oh, I got extra blue AR for you. Oh, I got extra blue AR for you, bro. And a mini. And a mini. Going to fight. I'm going to fight. Oh, somebody help me. Somebody help me. He's on me right here. 30 off of him. Oh, not yet. He's up there. I see him. He's there on the roof. There's like no health up. I told you not to peek from the same place I am. He's right here. Let's go. There we go. One. Next roof. Next roof, Doug. Who shot us, bro? Come with me. Let's go get this dude in the back. Come on, come on, come on. He's running. He's running like a bitch. But there's somebody behind us too. Oh, they just rezzed. Fuck. With me, with me. Fuck, what? Yeah, that's my fault. I'm gonna wait in here. Remember, he doesn't know you're here. He doesn't know we're here. Might get lucky. We might get lucky again. Got lucky. Don't move. Don't move. Don't move. Don't move. Oh, oh no, he sees you. Damn. Damn, you turn around as soon as you got me up. That's the thing, bro. Bro, that's my fault. I pushed too early. This is not because we suck. It's because like we didn't move together. That's my fault. Oh, let's go back. Let's go back. You said lobby, remember? That was decent. That was decent, bro. Our teamwork is getting better. Like we're slaying early game now, not late game. That's good. Like when I first started playing this game, like my first improvement level was when I was able to survive the first land. You know what I mean? Like I don't die on land. That was my first. Like okay, I can do this. you laughing about? Rahat! What? How come I have no game audio, bro? On my stream. Do I have to... Hello?
Yo,
No, no. Oh, the game audio or something. Doug, say something for a second.
yo, what's up?
Say something again.
Something again. What's up?
I think you're good. Alright. Yeah, we're good, we're good. Good shit, bro. Nah, because my friend was telling me, like, you have any audio display. Yo, let me hit up Mike. Mike, join up.
Oh man, so what's Ego Outpost? Where's that at?
I have no idea, bro. It's probably one of the middle spectrum. You have to look it up.
Okay. Well, it's time to Google. Yo, did you watch My Hero?
No, I did not. That's another something I'm missing out on.
You need to watch this today.
We can watch it together tomorrow. We can watch it together tomorrow. We can watch all the cartoons.
Man, it's just turning up.
Ooh, over.
Sun Eater. Ego Outpost. Search chest of Ego Outpost. Looks like one at Holly Hedges. Somewhere around Migo. What? I done searched 5 out of 7 already. That's weird. Alright, let's do party assist on this. Search chest. Isn't different Ego Outposts. I don't know. That's weird.
Do you see where they are?
Pleasant Park, Dirty Docks. Let's go to Pleasant Park.
You go to Pleasant, all right. That's a slave spot, bro.
Okay.
But Doug, your shots are pretty good now. You're not missing shots. Your peaks are good. You just can't be pulling out the wrong things. Other than that, you're good.
It's hard. It's hard to.
What do you have on your analogs? The R3 and the L3. What do you have?
Jump and crouch.
Okay, so you're always pulling your builds out because you always hit that right paddle, right?
I mean, I'm not pulling bills out.
What do you pull out more? What do you do by accident more? The edit?
I mean, at this point, it's trying to cycle through weapons properly. So I just gotta
Okay.
get a sense of what my loadout likes, what I like to put.
Okay.
So, like you said, some people like to put shotgun first, SMG, then whatever. So
AR.
I gotta figure out what works for me.
Okay, so I think one that might work for you. Okay, so my friend Mike does it in a way that I like, and then there's another way I like. There's two ways you can do it. One is Mike does it this way. He does shotgun, SMG, AR, because he knows he always needs his shotgun first, then he needs his SMG, and then his AR. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It goes in that order. But I like to do it AR, shotgun, SMG, and before the AR, I put like a RPG or a sniper. Because after the RPG, I want to push to the spray so I can like open the box up. That's why I like putting those two guns together. And after the shotgun, I go straight to the spray, and then I can go back too. But you have to have a comfortable like layout that you know in your head. You're like, okay, so you don't even have to look at it. You know what you're pulling out.
Right. That's what I got to figure out.
Yeah. So you have to have like a concrete layout that you're comfortable with, that you ball out with.
Search 7 ammo boxes in a single match. Really.
That's easy.
All right. Let's do party assist on that. Mission, Pleasant Park, Dirty Docks. Alright, so let's try to get elimination at Pleasant Park. So far, I've just been doing shot.
Oh, bounty is back, Doug.
There you are.
Bro, you know what bounty mode is in this game? Bro, you're gonna love bounty mode. We're gonna play that next. You're gonna really like it. So it's basically like a John Wick mode where like the person with the most kills is the one you have to chase to get their bounty. And you get 3 lives in the game. And it's literally like an all out bro. And they always, if you're the high kill man, they know where you are.
That sounds scary.
Bro, that game is so intense. That's how I got the gold coin. You know that gold coin back bling I have? That's from the bounty game mode.
Sounds terrifying. Trying to get me beat up. Oh, shit. Where's Pleasant Park at? That's, oh, let's see. Alright, so...
Yeah, I actually kind of pretty much memorized the map already. It didn't take me too long. Because this map is new, you know that, right? It's just this season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know all the spawns and stuff yet. I'm not comfortable with all the buildings, but like... I know a decent... We're going to that log house over there, that blue mark. But aim for that.
You got it.
Try to look menacing, like circle around it, just so they know this is ours. It's our pussy.
Who's sharing pussy though?
Oh, we didn't look menacing enough. All right, fuck it. Take the upstairs. Take that chest. I'll take this one. He's one shot. He's one shot. He's actually one shot. Damn.
Oh my god.
I just have to land a headshot on him. That's good. That's nice.
He killed you out completely, right?
He's right there.
Oh.
It's okay. It's okay.
One nigga in the other house.
But like this is like I like playing like this though. I like having mad people there. Like even if I die, I don't care. Cause like if we slay them, we're gonna feel mad good.
Now we're not goddamn. Killed the shit out of me. I don't know what the fuck I was doing. Clearly.
This is also that was your thing, like your objective, right? Just to land.
Nah, I gotta get a kill there.
Oh, okay. All right, we got this.
Oof. Big oof.
G? Vai move desse lado. Oh man, it's another hot drop. That means mad people gonna go here. So anything on the first jump in this area is always called a hot drop. Aim for the same house again. Try it again. Menacing Doug. Our pussy. Our house.
Well, I need you to drop the front bench since you know how to do it.
It's not working.
Drop it too early.
I wish they could see my marker so they knew I'm landing there. Like, yo, bro, I'm landing here. My marker's there.
It's my house, guys.
Guys, come on. Can we have some courtesy here, please?
Come on, guys. Sniper, okay. Alright, better than nothing, I guess. The harpoon gun and the sniper.
Oh, you're in the house next to me?
I landed on the house with the marker. Where'd you land?
The house we landed on the last game where I died.
You don't care.
I was trying to mark that house. I do care. This dick. You don't care.
You're something else. I think I landed when you telling me to land, and here we go.
Here we go again.
Something else.
Oh, I hear shooting. Is that you? Is that you?
That's not me at all.
Okay. Are you safe, Cupcake?
Okay, for the most part. I'm gonna come to you because I'm scared.
I'm scared. Okay. Watch out. Make sure you build if you have to on the way here. I got an SMG for you. Green SMG. Take that. Alright, I'm going to fight. Going upstairs.
Alright, hold on. Wait, I got I guess I'll drop this.
Okay, I see the fighting. I see them. Alright, we gotta get to this house.
Wait, you pushed too fast. Where you at?
Up here in this house.
Okay, got you.
Right here. They're under that, so they can't shoot us. Why don't we just knock them down?
Shoot that shit. Yeah, shoot that shit. Shoot it. All calms down. I need some bullets, nigga.
Yeah, me too. I ran out of fucking bullets. Definitely still over there, bro.
They're definitely still over there. Somebody get the fuck out of this house already. Where are you? Oh, I see some shit over here. Alright. I don't hear anybody.
He's here. He's on me. Oh man.
Got him?
Dog, where's he at? Where's he at?
He's up there from the house.
Oh, I see him.
Shit.
Just come down and get me. He's right here. You got him. He's low. You gonna beat him. It's just him. He's gonna try to outsmart you, bro. He's on top. Look. Yep. Keep your shotgun ready. You're gonna run out of bullets soon.
I'm definitely out of bullets now. I see him up there. Get the card.
No bullets in that gun. Yep, there you go. Reload. He's gonna come down. You don't have to go outside. No, he knows where you are. He's here. Ooh, nice. That was you or him. Oh, dog, he's a killer, bro. He's gonna shoot you. Oh, he's under there. Oh, one more shot. He's here. Oh my god, dog, how you do this? Oh my god. And did I just see that? Is that my boy? Give him the fucking, bro, give him the nutsack.
I'm not even gonna do all that. It's okay.
Get the med kit. Heal up first. Don't worry about me. Get the med kit first. Heal up. They shoot you. There's no point. Bro, we slayed this place out. Let's go.
Alright. I got no bullets. I gotta fucking...
It's okay. We're alive. Now go get me. We regroup. Make it right. It's on the right. It's on your right. Right there.
Yeah, see it. Hopefully nobody's here still. I will cry.
Nah, I think we clear the place. But yo, that was really good. Bro, that was amazing. The patience.
I was like, he's gonna jump.
Yup, you fucking, you've been watching Fortnite, haven't you?
Yeah, but he's gonna jump. I'm just gonna land, shoot where he lands.
Yeah, you see how people always go for that out of the stair, like regular peek? Like, you can low ground people a lot. Thank you, brother. You're the man.
No problem, my bro. No problem. I need bullets. My SMG. Excuse me. Oh, I gotta wait. I can use this. Can I put this? Not enough resources.
That's you?
No, it's not me.
Get inside. Get inside. Get inside. Got nothing to do.
He's on a boat, nigga. He's wildin'. This nigga's in a boat. He's wildin'.
Got a mini for you. Yeah. Oh, you're. Come back. Come back. Oh, I see him. I see him. I see him. I see him. He's over here.
Yo, what's the dude here on me?
Yeah, I see him. Get in the house. Let's fight him together in the house. In the house, upstairs. Dog, are we separated?
I'm downstairs. Hold on. Oh, I'm bugging. He's above us in the roof.
It's fine.
Oh, his homie's here. Behind you. Got me. He's running up on you. Good. No way. He's here in front of me. He's jumping up. He jumped up. He's going back to the roof. Oh, he shot. Wow. Good shit, dude.
How many times you gonna do this little rest shit, man?
Jesus Christ.
What a game! This is the kind of game I'm talking. This is how I want my duo partner to be, baby.
This nigga about to cry.
Just get your ass up.
Yeah. Pick me up. What his fucking circle moves.
What a game, bro.
Nigga go right back in the house and get all them guns back.
Let's go to the house and then we'll split everything. I'll give you mats, everything. Those dudes is trash. They're not trash. They just got outplayed.
They did. They get outplayed.
They didn't think. They thought. You see, a lot of people, what they do is when one person goes down, they rush. That's really bad strategy. That's bad mods, man.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You got everything you need here. There's a slurp fish if you want to carry.
Definitely want to carry that. Alright, I need to set my shit up.
Oh, let me give you half of everything.
I need a fucking AR. You got it. Let me get this blue first, I guess. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you. Ooh, mad submachine gun bullets. Ooh, shoddy. Ooh, yes.
You got half of everything I have.
Well, I appreciate you.
Let's go get other shit. You should edit that. Like it better. Yo, great job, bro. We got this whole edge of the map. We control this corner of the map now. See, that was good recognition, communicating like, yo, that's not me on the boat. Is that you, bro? No. Bro, I didn't get a boat.
Not you at all.
And you see, like, the strategy to go in the house if anything happens, because, like, those are things we're familiar with. We know where, like, things are, and we know they're gonna have to come inside. They're not gonna break the whole thing. They're either gonna go to the roof or come to the front door. Oh, the game ends here. Shit. Oh, shit. Yeah, let's pick somewhere where we're gonna base up. stay on this side of the map, okay? Because in front of us is gonna be where people are gonna come in from. This side, no one's gonna be here.
I'm not moving at all.
And you were worried about bullets. That's the one thing about fighting. If you fight, bro, you don't have to worry about bullets or anything, because like somebody's gonna bring them to you.
Push. I mean, well, yeah,
Feel me?
God, the first time I had nothing left. All I had was my shotgun.
No, I'm just saying, like, since we're getting better, we're not gonna have to worry about bullets like that.
Lucky I was like, damn.
We get it from people's dead
My
bodies.
shotgun, he's gonna try to rush me. Just wait for that shot. Pow. I had no SMG, I had no AR left. I was like, uh-oh, I got the shotty. Time for that close quarters.
Yeah, it's good that you play other fighting games though, because like you're familiar with like what you're supposed to do if you don't have one gun. You just gotta get comfortable switching guns, bro. That's the biggest improvement. Let's move. Let's move.
Alright, let's go.
Should we wait a little longer?
Nah, let's go.
Let me see the circle. One sec. Maybe a little bit, a few more seconds. We're gonna run with the storm, bro.
I'm moving now. I'm gonna get caught by the storm. It's unnecessary damage.
I'm behind you.
You got a lot of mats already.
I got hella mats. I'm 9-5.
Alright.
Got minis here if you want.
Okay, I got a flopper.
Minis, think about it. Flopper gives you 50 health, but minis gives you more 50 shield. Whichever you want to think is best. I don't want to get.
I got 4 floppers.
Oh, yeah. You're valid. You're valid.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm super good right now.
That's super valid. I should actually
okay,
come.
we are kind of far. Hold on.
We go. We gotta go toward the circle. We'll meet up. I like taking the higher grounds always. To look down on people.
Yes, senpai.
For people down there, so they're gonna be over the hill. You expect them somewhere over there. Yeah, we're gonna fight in risky. That's where the game is gonna end. That shit right there with the movie reel.
Mm-hmm.
We see it. Just want to wait a little bit before we go in there. I don't want to stand around, and I also don't want to build in our position.
Let's definitely not build until we have to.
Yeah.
Last time they get shot us with a rocket launcher.
Yeah, but when we get better, that shit's not gonna matter. We're gonna be like, all right, nigga, come push the box. We're gonna rape you in the box.
Push the box. Come push the box.
Oh, like that's gonna be the bait. Let's go. Me.
I hear it.
Don't matter, bro.
Is,
Are you here? Are you with me?
120.
Are you with me?
I'm not.
Where you at, bro? I'm up here. Come up here.
I
Look
hear
at
niggas, Southeast 120. Look at these niggas over there fighting. I want some action.
Oh, I see him.
Yeah, bro. Niggas is fighting.
Yeah, I just sniped at this dude. Come on. Oh my god, I had a shot on him. No, I'm so tight. Come on. Let's go. Let's go get him, bro. With me. 130. We're gonna head 130 first. Yeah, this is the rest of the game. Gotta beat them. Let's make sure this base is clear first. Oh, there's somebody right here. There's somebody right here. He thinks I don't see him. Right here. Come with me.
I got you.
He doesn't know we're here. He doesn't know we're behind him. You're shooting at him?
Yup.
Oh.
Yeah, rush him, rush him. I damaged him for 30. He's still, I'm knocking his shield, knocking his wall down a little bit. You gonna push him? I think he's by himself.
He definitely is.
Ooh, somebody try to snipe me. Oh, wait. Shit, circle. Good shit, bro. Come back, come back, come back. Oh, niggas are wilding out here.
On you?
Yes. Holy shit, they got me. Niggas are wilding out here. Oh, got you too.
Yeah, we were out of position. We gotta push together, I guess. But like, that was good. You held me down, bro. That was good.
Yeah,
You held it down, bro. That was a fun game. Let me see how many bodies we got together. I don't know why it says I only had 5 eliminations, but whatever.
Yeah, like
I had 2 kills. I had 1 by myself. No, I had way more kills. I can't believe they're not showing me my kills. That's gay.
Yay.
Nah, that was a good game though. That was good games. I see the improvement, Doug. I see it. I don't know how. You don't even play. I guess you're mentally improving. In your mind, you're getting better. Bro, but for Fortnite, it's actually important, bro.
I'm a shooter.
You're a shooter, word. That's what it is. Cause like, I remember when I was getting better, my friend Rafi, he used to be like, bro, like, you have to know what you're gonna do before you go there. My brother used to tell me the same thing. Like, you gotta know what you're gonna do before you do it. Cause like, before I just used to build, not knowing what I want to do. But now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna push him. I'm gonna cover him up with my cones. That's what I did to him. That's why he couldn't do anything. I covered him up so he couldn't build up high. He had a roof over everything. And if you try to break it, you're gonna pressure him. So he had to keep moving. And I got lucky running into him, bro. Like, I got him, I dropped right down on him, but it was kind of lucky, I guess which one he was at. But I guess over time it'll get better. On the neck, 105. Let's land here and hit Slurpee and kill them.
Okay.
I'm gonna have mad people on Slurpee.
I see somebody swallowing right there. 2 people. 3 people.
Well, I've never seen this spot. I've never seen anybody land over there. Maybe one other game we'll try it. Yeah, we might have people contesting us.
Wait, let me land near you.
Yeah, land near me. That's a good call. Are they here?
I didn't see anybody, but I wasn't really looking. Still ain't got no ammo. Wait, no weapons.
Okay, we can fish. We can fish. Go by the water. Go by the water and fish, Doug. There's not fishing holes on that side. I got an AR for you. Green AR.
Yeah, let me get that shit.
You want it?
Where? Oh, I see it. Thank you, sir.
Okay, hold on. Take ammo. You left your ammo in there.
Thank you. 44 shots. I'll take it.
Yeah, get materials, get whatever you need. We gotta go fight, or we're not gonna get the kills that we're looking for.
I think there's
Still here. There's no fishing holes here? There is.
yeah.
Where's the fucking thing?
You got a fucking fishing rod?
Yeah, they should be here.
Oh, fishing rods apparently. That sucks. Fucking donkey dick, but okay.
Alright, let's go push.
Alright, let's go. Oh,
Okay.
all I got is this fucking AR.
You got
Yay.
this. Oh, there's people in front of us. 105, 105.
Hold on. I hear a chest. I'm gonna grab this bitch. Okay, better than nothing, I guess. I got a burst and a bandage gun. Bandage bazooka. Better than nothing, I guess. You at? Alright, let me try to catch up.
Yo, he's fucking nice, bro.
Wait, I'm coming. Literally just have this one. Okay, lag. Okay. Killed him. Cut it out.
Cut it out, bitch.
Cut it out.
Don't get gangbanged like that next time, too.
Oh, what am I doing? Oh, I got a sniper. Nice. Wait.
Nice, there's more people.
Oh, hold on.
Yo, he laser beamed me. I was like, bro, is he on aimbot or something? Why is he able to do this to me?
He might have been. He might have been.
Oh! Somebody shot. Yeah, behind us.
I don't see him.
He's east.
Oh no, but no.
The west. My bad, bro. Here, take this. Big shield.
You see him?
You don't want the big shield, bro? It's under you. Under the stairs.
You see him?
Oh, I don't know where this bum is at. Let's disengage. Come on.
I wanna fuck this nigga up.
Nah, you gotta
Put a
come
thing
back.
up. He put a stair up.
Did he? Oh, so you know where he is?
There's a stair right there, West 250.
Oh, I see him. He's hiding. He's trying to snipe. He's over here. Try to pressure him a little bit.
You wanna rush him? I'm down to rush him.
Down.
$31. Oh, fuck. I'm out of bullet. Got him, bitch.
Bro, that's so. Oh, no, more!
I'm down. Come on. He's by a tree. You see him by the tree? He's jumping. He's by the. You see him? He's pushing. He's pushing to your right.
Oh, it's more than one person.
Oh shit. Damn. Not like this.
Bro, look how much health I took down from him. Damn. We just made too much commotion in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, right.
But that was valid, bro. We slayed all of them, bro. They just got us from the back. That's why I put my building sensitivity at 5, bro. I have max sensitivity for building now. Because if anybody shoots, I just wrap around. Automatically, I'm blocking. Do you want to play pussy and get a win? Or you want to keep doing this and get better?
I'm not about to play pussy.
I want to play pussy.
Nah, I'm not playing pussy. I don't play
Nah,
pussy.
kid. Nah.
I don't play pussy in any game I play.
Nah, bro, I'm glad you're playing this, though. Is this experience not better than your first time, though? You played with the squad? Yo, I remember your frustration. You're like, bro, I'm fighting, and like nobody came to help. We're like, bro, we're surviving. Well, bro, you just got shot then.
Jesus Christ.
Look at my movement. Shotgun. Ooh. Am I standing? Am I standing? Crouching? What am I doing?
You bagging the fuck out of me.
What? I'm making you dizzy, right? Let's go here.
Waves.
I think you remember this area. We landed here before.
So, okay.
I'm gonna land on this store right here. So,
You sure?
yeah, 100%. That's my spot. That's my spot.
Okay. Alright, checking. Like to put markers down and then you end up on the other side of the city.
Ah, you dragging it, bruh.
I'm not dragging it at all.
Yeah, we got people on us.
Yes.
Doug, are you by me? There's fighting here, by the way, so be careful. I got gun for you. Not gun, shield.
I'm coming.
Oh, they're right by us. They're right by it.
Need that.
Yeah, there's somebody sniping from a roof, bro. Get on a roof. Get on a roof. That's what all good players do, bro. They get on roofs. That ass. It's not pussy. They get on roofs, build.
Let me loot, my man. Let me loot. It's like, I ain't got shit right now.
Okay, take this. Somebody's here. Somebody's here.
Hold on, cuz I'm coming. Alright, so let me grab this.
Somebody's right here. Somebody's right here. I'm about to shoot at him right now. I don't even know what you just did, bro, but good shit.
Pushing mad hard. I didn't do anything. I'm nowhere near you, my man. I'm pushing mad hard. See this?
Bro, who is this? Bro, it's two of them, bro. It's mad people here. Don't even fight. Oh, this guy.
I took out one, but damn, push mad hard.
Who's the one you killed? How'd you take him out? Shot grenades?
SMG.
That was nice, bro. What was he on the? Was he on the wire? He tried to run on the wire.
No, whatever dude took you out
Uh-huh.
the box, I killed him, and then his teammate came and killed me.
Oh, okay, okay. But you didn't take the guy that was fighting initially, right? That was the
I
other
didn't
people?
fight anybody. I was in the whole you push by yourself.
Yeah, I got beat up. I got jumped, bro. There's a bunch of octopus out there, bro. It's an octopus.
No, bro, I had no guns. I was trying to loot.
I dropped 2 guns for you. It's all good. It's all good. You wanna land there or lazy now? You pick a location. You pick wherever you like. It doesn't matter.
Preferably want to land somewhere with some guns in it.
Every place has guns.
Oh.
Pick a spot.
You
Gonna go somewhere that where we're alone and we push? Let's go here.
Where? Cracky puss.
Gonna go craggy. Or you wanna fight straight up and go to dirty? That's too late. Craggy it is. Here we got people. Remember, look menacing. Look menacing around our main house. If not, we might have to pull out and go somewhere else. But let's try to get
This
our
main
main
house
house.
better have some fucking guns in it. She had 4 fucking burst rifles. What the fuck, bro?
Yeah, he landed over here. They landed over here. And there's one on the floor. Oh, these are bots. These are bots. I need a gun. I need a gun.
There's a submachine gun here behind you.
One right here.
Alright.
Oh, I came to get it. Let's see.
I'm breaking the slurp shit. Come here. Get the slurp shits.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Come on, more. Let's go.
Another one in the corner.
Right here. Yeah, that's good communication, bro. Good comms. I only have 1 gun, by the way. I don't think I could win a fight right now.
I got a burst and a SMG.
We got a blue
What you
pump.
got?
Blue pump. You want a
Take
green
it.
pump?
Well, take it. You have one gun.
No, I have two. Now I have two guns. Now I have extra. That's why I'm asking. The green pump is a great tack here.
Give me. Yeah, I want that. The great tack. I want that great tack. Great tack.
Great tack.
I got one. This.
Got people south of us, okay?
Alright. The south, right?
Let me know if you hear footsteps. Minis. Oh, from you.
Yeah, I'm good. You take them. Kidding me with this?
Guy go. He was here.
Kidding me?
Oh yeah, we gotta open an ammo chest. Don't break them.
Ain't see nobody yet. Alright, let's go. Let's run.
Yeah, I think the guy ran away. Which way are you running? I'm running this way. We separating? I'm running up the mountain. You're running in between the mountains. Come this way. Just in terms of like terrain, we're a better shot this way. You got a sniper, bro?
Okay. I do.
Okay, good. There was a bunch lying around.
Yeah, I grabbed the green sniper.
I wonder where those two people went. Very body. Is that red noob skin that you had when you first started playing the game? That skin. Now you're hell bitch.
Hell bitch. I love hell bitch.
Love hell bitch. Yeah, she's one of the only skins that glows like that. Like her legs and her tail glows.
Yeah, I love it.
But you got hell boy too. Hell lad.
Hell lad.
Somebody shot. I don't know if it's at us or not. Oh, here. Still. Get under the hill. Let them engage her. Oh, he already shot at you. Or that was you that shot at him. Got him.
Pop him. I'm bugging. You got one? You got both?
I got one.
Somebody to our right, I think.
Hey, come here, come here, come here, come here. He has a good gun. He has a good gun.
Wait.
Even if it was an RPG, bro. And he has a blue sniper.
Oh, wait. Need that. Yo, what the fuck? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Somebody shot me.
You shot me, bro.
Bitch. Let's go. This teammate's still alive, but let's go.
Yeah, I see him, I see him.
Are you fighting him?
Get the bandages.
I gotta support you in your freaking death wish right here.
He's here, he's here, he's here. He's here, I'm gonna spray, I'm gonna spray.
He's in that.
Let him come on, let him come up. Still there, bro.
Let's go.
We need health. We have health.
I got one bandage. There's some bandages over here. There's a med kit over here, actually.
Wait.
Right here, right here, right here.
Okay, I'm coming. Go. Go to the circle. Go to the storm. Go to the storm. Go to the storm. Go to the storm. Are you taking the med kit?
Oh, can you grab it?
Yeah, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna grab it. I'm gonna grab it and take it right now.
Grab it.
I hope I have
grab it,
enough.
grab it.
I'm not gonna survive if I don't take it right now.
Take it.
Yeah, keep going, keep going.
I got 5 bandages.
Wow, that fight worked out.
It did? It did indeed.
Bro, we got so much better, bro. The communication, the comms. Yo, so when I shoot that RPG...
What I don't fucking have is a damn fucking AR.
Alright, so one thing I will say is when we shoot the RPG... Hold on, here, I got something for you. If you need any kind of ammo or anything, I need rocket bullets.
I have no rocket bullets.
Okay.
Alright, let's go. I need to give me a new AR.
There was a bunch in the storm, I don't know. But it was too late, it was very chaotic.
I had to drop him so I can pick up. Oh, somebody's here in front of us.
Okay, but don't shoot him yet. Oh, I see him. Shoot.
It's 2 of them.
Oh, I didn't know, whatever. Okay.
Wait. That was bad. That was stupid. That was dumb of me. Yeah, that was dumb of me. That's my bad. I was trying so hard to get the burst rifle. Damn, the storm's coming in already? What the fuck? Oh my god. Building. See you out here. Good shit. That's homie still alive. You might want to take a heal if you can. Alright. This homie's definitely still alive, but he probably left the storm already.
Yeah, he can't stay because I have the med kits.
Alright. But he's gonna wait for you to come out the storm for sure.
100%. I'm gonna get you in the storm. I'm gonna try.
Man, it's like there's a
this.
there's a reboot thing, but it's like in the storm.
Yeah, I know.
To your left. My son's a beast.
The gold P90?
I need you to heal up, bro.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Damn, how am I gonna get you, bro?
You gotta... Shit, I don't think you can. Actually, there's one on the other end of the circle, of the new circle, but like... Is it faster to just go to that one near me? Near us?
Nah, I have to go that way.
Yeah, shit's about to move.
Yo, these niggas are so whack, bro. They think like I don't get that little move that they do. Like, I'm gonna edit the window. Like, bro, come on. We know, everybody knows that move. Look at this dumbass nigga right here. He thinks he's clever.
He's like, oh, did he see us? Did he see us?
Oh, that's so you're right, motherfucker.
Somebody running above, for sure. He's down there looking for you. He's looking for you. Got a shotgun, bro.
The bot. That's crazy.
Definitely a bot. That's wild.
I can't believe I'm a bot that I took that shot.
They get mad good shit though, wow.
It's okay. I'm gonna take the P90 for you. If I save you somehow.
Strong if struggles out here.
Oh my god, everywhere I go there's somebody.
Somebody hit that down. Breaking down walls. There you go.
Thank you.
Get that kit. Maybe Ratu is carrying with the 6 kills. I see you, bruh.
I'm trash, bro.
Better than me.
Oh, he finished fighting. He finished fighting. He finished fighting. Hold on, fuck, they know I'm here.
I want to rotate.
What the fuck?
How did that miss, nigga? How? They know you're there. Just move.
You think so?
Oh. Yeah, don't. Yeah, he was looking right at you.
Okay. Look him around.
Yeah.
It was all about map manipulation.
Yep. Gotta match that terrain. Oh shit, the circle's coming.
Yeah, I just gotta get behind them.
You got an SMG and attack. It can be done. Oh, they're fighting somebody up on the hill, I see. Mm-hmm. Something's right in front of you, bro. Ooh, what a shot, nigga. Oh, come on, that's supposed to hit. Drop his ass. Bitch, 17 damage. Ah, he caught himself. So with the master edits, I see you out here. Oh no. This nigga selling that brick house over there. He fell into it. I think he's chilling right now. I'm trying to get some. I'm not sure what he's doing actually. Yeah, he's selling. There's two of them.
Oh, it's two of them. Oh, okay, it's a dub.
Yes.
I don't even want to help. I don't even want to shoot at that bitch. Cause like she's kind of helping.
She is. Just let her do her rocket thing.
Do a rocket thing.
You got the circle right on you though. Oh no.
Nice try, nigga.
Not like this. Not like this. Lord.
I'm doing it. I'm taking a risk. I'm taking a risk.
Just do it.
Like Nike. Got it.
Just do it. Oof. Alright. Wait. These niggas is chilling in this fucking box. Y'all some hoes. Get out the box. Wow. This whole ass shit.
I don't think they know I'm here.
They are scrapping right now. These niggas are scrapping.
I think they know I'm here.
No. Got this girl.
Let's fucking go! That's how we do it! I can't believe we actually pulled that off. How many kills was that? 10 kills. Oh my god. That was the first game in my life I've clutched like that. Oh my god. Whew. Back to the lobby, baby. Back to the lobby with that one.
Yeah, we gotta take a break on that one. Good
bro,
shit,
new
dude.
skin, new me.
Good shit.
What a game. Bro, I didn't think I was gonna pull that off. I was like, I gotta spray him. He's gonna try to pump me. I was like, I gotta spray this dude fast.
Right, you gotta go down.
Nah, but that's another thing I learned. You see, like, when the crosshairs are so small, you just shoot, bro. Don't even think about aiming. Because you're so... If you have your right side on him, shoot. You'll get him. Because he's gonna move around on your fucking crosshair eventually. What a game.
Good shit.
Whew. I didn't even know this was a skin.
What did I just get? Oh, I got boulder breakers. Okay, whatever.
Ooh, I never rocked this skin before. Interesting.
Checker flag.
Damn, that worked out so well, bro.
That was great.
The spraying, getting the guys from the back, being patient, taking the med kits.
Good shit.
Ooh. Yeah, that's definitely a clip, though.
Yeah, that was a good finish. That was a good finish.
Yeah.
It was a $4,000 finish right there.
Yeah, we didn't choke, bro. Thank God we didn't choke.
Yeah, you didn't choke. I was dead as fuck.
Nah, you guided me with your encouragement. Let's go. Let's do it. This is a funky looking chick. I've never seen this skin before, so I'm rocking it.
Carry a knock, play attempt needed to damage with SMGs, shotguns, and pistols in a single match.
Doug, you sure you don't want to go tomorrow, by the way? To the paintballing thing? Oh, no, I can't go anyways. I forgot.
So we're doing painting, right?
Paintball. Yeah, we're painting instead of paintballing. Yeah, that's why.
Oh, man.
Let's get it.
Okay, what time are you doing this painting shit?
My dad wants to do it in the morning, but like we just have to do you know the hallway we have? Like when you walk into the house? There's a kitchen and the living room, so it's kind of a lot though. Like we're probably gonna have we're gonna work, we're gonna have lunch together, and then we're gonna finish, and then like.
Okay, so what time do you want me to be there?
Say like 12.
12.
I think 12 is a good time. Yeah, noon is good. I don't want to say 10 and like I'm tired and that shit is bullshit. Because decent time.
All right. Well, I will be calling.
Okay, sir.
Make sure you're up first.
Well, but like you can pull up. You can pull up in general because my whole family's home, so you can just pull up on us.
All right.
There's no. You don't have to call and confirm. I'm gonna tell them to expect it. Yeah, we look like fire and ice, bro.
Oh, we kind of do. All right, trick shot.
Should I be more icy like this? Should I be icy like this?
All right.
Or like this? How about this one?
That's pretty icy, yeah. It's pretty icy. Got a snowman out here.
I see like
goofy ass snowman.
That's a super goofy snowman. You want me to be this guy?
Search ammo boxes and steamy sacks of holly hedges. Let's do that one. Steamy sacks, holly hedges. Ooh, the fire ass. Was it the God King?
What is?
The Demon King? I don't know what you looking like. He's fire though.
Yeah, that's your favorite skin, bro. I know that you always talk about the skin.
I don't got that one. I definitely don't got that one.
Yeah, that's a couple battle passes away. Maybe the next battle pass will be better. But you got to start finishing it, bro. It's about to be over, I think. Your battle pass. How much time they gave you?
Oh no. How do I check that? I'm at the level 29 now.
Yeah, you got a long way to go. You can't. I don't even think if you don't play enough, you won't get the 8-ball, which is like the skin you want, right, for this battle pass.
Level 60, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta get the 60 at least.
When is the shit over the season?
I don't have the battle pass, so I can't tell.
How do I show? What do I look for?
I'll go to battle pass and it'll tell you when it's over. Give you a date. Ends in. It's gonna say ends in.
I don't see anything anywhere about a date. Chapter 2, Season 1, gift battle pass, $9.49 US. Hold the chat, watch battle pass video.
Alright, fuck it.
What's something in the video?
I'll look it up for you. Nah, it's definitely not in the video. I'll look it up for you later.
Okay. Mad long. Alright, whatever.
That game was so valid, bro. That was such a
good match.
Yeah. I wish you were alive. That would have been even better.
I know, right?
You know what happened, bro? When you were like, I see somebody, I have to make sure that you're behind a tree before I shoot. Because like you're not in cover. They're going to see you instead of me. Because I'm shooting, but you're in front. You feel me? So I kind of fucked up by shooting because you could have shot first and taken cover. But as soon as you see a shot go off, Doug, I recommend you hit your build button, hit a wall, and jump with the staircase. So you have something that you can stand on.
Mm-hmm.
Usually what I do is I go up to 2 floors, basically. I go...
Oh, this shit's ending February 6th.
This battle pass?
Fortnite
No way.
Chapter 2 Season 1 end date is 6 February 2020.
Damn, you have mad time.
Yeah. I got hella time.
Yeah. Where you at, Doug? Where's your fucking character at? Yeah. Can you see me from up there? Look at me. Come over here. He's loading? Okay, look. This is what I like to do, look. So, if I hear something, bang, bang, then I'm gonna just chill here like this. Feel me? And if there's people behind anybody, you wrap around.
Alright, I gotta go to Holly Hedges.
Let's go right now. You gotta kill somebody in here?
What the fuck is it? Loot something. Search ammo boxes at Steamy Stacks or Holly Hedges. Ammo boxes. Like a party assist on.
It's okay.
Alright, I'm about to land.
Aim for that shit, aim for that shit, aim for that shit. That house is pretty big.
That is not
That's a big ass house. That's a big ass house. I like that one.
Nigga, this is Holly Hedges. I'm about to right here.
Am I shooting at you, bro?
No, not me.
Oh, my friend. Are you upstairs?
Yeah, I'm upstairs.
Okay, good.
I'm trying to find these ammo boxes.
Let's go. There's somebody here. Doug, I got minis for you.
Hold on.
Just come here. I'll get the chest. Come here, just come here. People here, people here.
Hold on. He popped me with the pistol, B. He's by the stairs. He's by the stairs. This fucking dickhead. Fucking dude. I got 10 bandages, so.
You're good, you're good, you're good.
Pussy.
Let's see. Think we're new at this game, bro? Alright, let's go. Where's these guys?
Let me bandage. Let me bandage.
Take your time. You gotta watch the van, though. Oh, I see somebody, I see somebody.
Relax, nigga. I found an ammo box, finally.
You pushing them? Over here, over here. There's somebody right here, bro.
Bugging.
Good shit, dog. Good shit, good shit. I'm right behind you. He's in here.
Oh, I gotta fucking.
Nice, 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 nice. You got chill, build. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. It's right here, right here. Build like a asshole. It's okay, it's okay. Okay.
I'm bugging.
Just edit me out, and just save me. It's fine, Fuck it. We don't got time for all this. We die. We did it as a team. Oh, there's a bum nigga here. No.
Hold on.
He's right here. Bum nigga's right here. If I die. It's okay. Bum nigga's right here. He's crouching right here. I'm dying. Now build. Now, actually, fuck it. Fuck the build. Fuck the build. That's the last one. Let's go, baby. This is the first time we're slaying out like that.
Yeah.
Somebody just get rezzed?
Right. Was that what that sound was?
I don't know.
Hold on. Here, take these. Drop them. Here, bandages. Actually, shit, I need some too.
Yo, yeah, you need them bad.
Yeah, I need them real bad. I even noticed. I'm hurt. Oh, I got 3 left. Good. Okay. I have a fishing rod. I don't know. But let's get that shit.
Call us the Slay Boys.
The Slay Boys.
Slay Boys. Oh, gold platinum chest. Hello. And we got fucking supply drop on us. They know we need the shields, bro.
Yeah, I need.
Oh, I got some shields for you right here.
Where you at?
Right here. Mark it for you.
Gotcha.
I'm just glad we're getting kills and wins.
I'm saying, man, look, once I get comfortable with a shooter,
It's over, bro. It's over. This game is gonna get wrecked.
once I can aim properly, I'm gonna be alright. It's just that, you know, I gotta get used to the game.
Yeah, but you see the building though. Like, try to watch me build sometimes. Like, see like how I do it and try to like emulate. Like,
Well,
I'm not a great builder. I'm very simple. I don't know how to do any tricks or anything. I just know how to like just get there.
well, like I said,
Like I really rely on my shooting to like get me across. My L2 actually, my aim assist.
look. Like I said before, I gotta.
Yo, did you get the chest? Did you get the supply drop? Yes or no?
No.
Then that means somebody's right here. Somebody's right over here. Somebody's right on that side. Somebody's right on that side. I'm 100%.
Okay. Oh, look, like this. Alright. Oh, somebody put a trap in the house.
Okay,
Oh my
gotcha.
god.
You
What's
didn't die,
about you?
though. You didn't die. I'm coming.
What the
We're in good shape,
fuck,
we're in good
bro? What a fucking dick.
Imagine I ran into it.
Why'd you run past me? I can't believe it. I got a med kit. I'll be alright. There goes on my fucking shield.
No, you have one more mini left, I think.
No, I don't have
Yeah,
it.
you do. You left it back there because there was 3.
Hey, 5 out of 7 ammo boxes. Making progress.
5 out of 7. Okay, we'll find the rest. I don't think anybody got a chance to loot the place like that. I thought somebody sneak attacked you. I was tight.
Nah, fucking.
But then I saw knock themselves out. I was like, alright, Doug.
No, it's a fucking trap. I'm not looking up in the ceilings.
Oh, got shield for you. Right here, brother.
Need all of this. All right. I think Holly Hedges is pretty much looted for the most part.
Oh, there's a bandage gun. Nice.
Let's go, cuz.
Should I take the bandage gun for us or no?
Nah, it's okay. Let's go.
Think so? Okay. So then let me get the sniper. You with me?
Nigga, I'm ahead of you. Come
Oh,
here
okay,
to the circle.
Butterfly boy is coming.
Hey.
Eh. Getting mats. Main thing to have.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to the circle because I don't like taking unnecessary damage.
I know, that's your thing. Got your cuh. Yeah, we have time. We're not gonna get hit. Well, I hope not.
Alright. I hope not.
I hope not. Yeah, travel a little more left, bro. Right side, we're probably gonna have beef. Travel a little left until we get inside.
There's minis here.
Damn, this map is ending in a very interesting place. It's in the water and Pleasant.
You don't say.
I do say, sir.
Nope, I got a rocket launcher.
Me too, I got a purple one.
Yeah, I got a green rocket launcher with 3 rockets.
Bro, remember, rocket launcher, then AR, so you could switch to it and shoot the wall after you fire the rocket launcher. That's how you can make sure you get mad. And like sometimes it's good when like somebody's knocked and their boy is gonna go pick them up, give them a couple of seconds to start rezzing, and then you fire the RPG and the fucking rifle. That's how you take 2 people out because he's rezzing.
Got you.
Okay, there's definitely people over here in front of us. Hit the shield. Hit the shield. Right here on me.
I'm nowhere near you.
It's a super low ground. I hate this.
In the distance, somebody shot the supply drop down way in the distance.
Yep.
Northeast 60.
I hate being in the water. Yeah, we gotta win this game, bro. Gotta play this smart and win. Don't get on the boat, please. Fuck the boat. Oh, there's builds over here. So watch out for that side. All the way up there. So when you go up the mountain, look around. And there's definitely people left of us. They just hit the supply drop. So I don't think we should go up yet, bro. Let that team intersect first. Or we're gonna get caught between 2 teams. One from the south and one from the north. Let me look right first. Go this way, KAB00M.
Alright.
I'm just doing this so we get high ground and we drop down. When we're running, we're running from high ground. Oh, there's somebody here. Hey, sorry. Alright, Will. He's by himself. I'm gonna knock him down, hold on.
Fuck, he got me. That's a damn, he should have Anonymous 283. I thought you were pushing.
Damn!
That's my bad.
No, it's not your fault. But I didn't know you were up there though. I thought you were on the base with me.
Yeah, I was rushing.
Yeah, if you told me, bro, I would have rushed him with you.
Yeah, that's my bad.
Yeah, he's pretty decent though. The guy that killed us.
I saw you running up. So.
Yeah, I saw after it was too late. Yeah. I was just trying to run behind him. Whenever people do that, I just chop them down. I just chop them, bro.
I thought you were running around and flanking him, so I was like, all right, me going forward.
Nah, that was smart. That was smart, bro. But you gotta tell me, because if you're doing that, I'm gonna use a different strategy. Then I'm just gonna spray him.
Yeah. All right, I got you.
Oh, it's all good. You gotta adjust. But we've been slaying, bro. Done. Done. The sniper beam be hurting, bro.
That shit is painful, bro.
Especially like how he is. You see, that's why I always wrap around me. I hate getting shot from the back. You'll never see me get shot like that because I always build 2 fucking walls behind my head. Whoa, where's he shooting?
Yeah, where's he aiming at?
Oh, he's his teammate. He has a partner. His partner's a hell girl too. Ooh, I like his build. You saw that? That's so smooth. Floor. Everything is mad logical, bro. Especially in terms of building. So smooth. That Holly Hedge game was really good though. That was fucking exciting. Now we're doing hot drops all the time now. What?
You gotta go back there because
I
still need some more
ammo boxes.
Ammo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. Right. I love fucking. When I first started playing, I used to like to avoid, but now I love like fighting, bro.
Fuck, I gotta get 7 in one shot in the Holly Hedges. That's fucking gay, actually.
We could just do it on squad mode or something. So everybody in the squad lands there, and they can get all at once. But we'll get it done, bro. Don't worry. You gonna get the same house? Actually, no. Let's get the other side this time.
So close. That was 5 out of 7.
Oh, I should have put my dragon on so we could both come in with our dragons. I'm on the roof. Fuck, we got somebody here. Fuck. Take the other one. Ready? Let's have a good strategy. They're here. They could come up the stairs. Doug, where are you? Talk to me.
Back there.
Oh, he's right here. I just killed this boy though. He's rezzing his boy right here. Doug, he's rezzing his boy in here. With me. Shoot, break it. He's rezzing. Yo, no, he's coming out. Coming out to fight. Fuck that bum nigga up. Oh, he's back in the hole.
Oh no.
It's okay.
I
thought you were with me.
My bad. I was trying to look for
if there's 2 people in the house, we have to stay close, especially if I get a knock.
Yeah, alright.
And another thing we do when we're together is like, if like I just knock somebody, I'm about to like take him out. We gotta know that his teammate is gonna come rushing, so you have to be ready to build. So that way, like one person gets the thirst, the other person gets the build. I think it's trash. I don't know if he's trash, but like he got caught-ed. Bro, I got such a great video for you to edit, bro. 10 kill duo win. No music in the background.
The solo duo win.
Solo duo win. Actually, right. Was it even a duo?
Was it?
Nah. No, you gotta. No, you saved me once in the beginning, bro. Alright. Oh, this is perfect to go to Holly Hedges. We're gonna have nobody there. But not nobody, but like we're gonna have to fight, but like we should be okay. Look, when we see enemies, we do this. Wall, stair, floor wall, stair. Why is he being a hater? Why are you being a hater, bro? Why are you being a hater? 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 Why are you being a hater?
Yeah, damn. Alright.
Alright. This is one of my favorite locations, by the way. This right here?
What, Holly Springs?
No, this one. This is my favorite location. We're not going there though. Oh. It's Holly Hedges. They're all alliteration.
Yeah, I know. I just made a mistake. Step of the song.
It's always SS, MM, PP.
Yeah, I know.
DD, RR, WW. Let's go to the house that we stayed out in. That house. You didn't land before me? I don't even know. Okay, we're dropping at 2 different angles.
We are.
Okay, I count 1, 2. Well, yeah, we got teams. We still gotta fight. So yeah, I'm more comfortable. Yeah, I'm more comfortable. I'm gonna take the mid flow. Yep, perfect.
Pistol, great.
SMG, I'm going down the stairs. You go up. Oh, you are already up.
I don't see shit in here. Nothing in this bitch.
Ready, bro?
Oh, you want one pistol? Maybe, yeah.
Well, we have to kill somebody to get more guns then.
You're damn right. Let's do it. There's somebody in the house ahead of us. Grab it.
You shot him?
Nope. I'm about to get these guns.
He's right here.
Alright, I'm in the house. I'm in the house.
I'm in the house too.
Going up the stairs. Yeah. Oh, okay. I got 1 bullet in my SMG. It's not good.
No, I got you.
Okay, I'm good. I got 54. No, wait, the fuck? Okay.
Reload everything. Get the gun.
Hold on. Oh wait, dude, take this mini. Take the med kit. Take the med kit. I got a med kit for you.
I got one too. I'm good.
Okay.
Why'd you take my med kit? I know. I didn't even know.
I just ran over it.
Yeah, I know. I got you. You got people blowing shit up. You see that? They're breaking cars down. Thank you, brother. Good push, by the way. There's people here.
Where?
There's another team that landed with us. They just loot together.
That's the plan, G.
How many do you have 6. Okay, you're done. There you go.
I'm good. Good shit. Appreciate it, man. Oh, wow. Ooh, I just edited. Give me editing stuff.
Hey, let's go. What you edit?
Oh,
that's that you? Oh, I see. Okay. Oh no, it's not you.
Nigga, where? Oh no, wait. I'm coming. Where you at? You outside. How did you get outside? Jesus Christ.
He's upstairs on me.
nigga, wow, I ran out of some bullshit. I ran out of wow. I didn't know it was like 5 niggas out here, dog. This is crazy. I ran out into some straight bullshit.
Oh, damn!
Yep.
I was gonna body him. Like, yeah, his boy's already down. See, that was the team I was telling you about. I knew there was another team, and those are the better players.
Yeah, alright, I'm about to return to the lobby.
Alright, come on. Yeah, we got a challenge. There's some good gaming. I'm gonna get off soon, though, so we could get some rest for tomorrow.
Yeah, it's 3:30. I'm about to get off now. It's 3:30.
You wanna get off?
Yeah.
Alright, bro. Good night.
Later, dude.
Later. See you tomorrow. Just pull up.
Alright.
Alright, holla.
Yeah, man.
One squad before I leave. Should I play arenas and whatever. Restart me. Good. What's good?
My name is Daddy here.
That one's absolutely one shot. Because I've been chasing this.
We got somebody here. We got somebody here. Who the fuck? Too many people here.
Yeah, I'm one shot.
Shit, I'd rather be one shot.
Yeah, stay put, bro. Don't try to run over here.
Not you got anything over here. I see a pistol, at least I have something.
He's right here.
No, not me.
Definitely not here. Okay. My last game, but did you get here? Because I'm playing solos. Commentary. I'll play one more or go to bed.
I don't know.